Well, if you tuned in recently, we did a video on math and emotion as it relates to the markets. This week, we're going to take that same topic of math and emotion and talk about it through the lens of financial planning. Last week, Daryl and I discussed math and emotion through the lens of financial markets, specifically around volatility. We're going to take that same topic of math and emotion and talk about it through the lens of financial planning this week. And more importantly, how our brains and our emotions act and react when not only is there financial decisions in our lives, but there's volatility in the portfolio that makes us maybe feel less comfortable with what we're experiencing.
For sure. Let's go to this whole idea of goals, and let's go to this whole idea of the fact that truly the portfolio management is beholden to what you want to accomplish, right? So where do we start? We start with, what do you hope to achieve? What are your hopes? What are your concerns? And how do we actually go ahead and make sure that you're protected from a 360-degree angle?
Absolutely.
To achieve what those are.
Yeah.
Now, the interesting thing about goals that a lot of us think about but don't really think about, but it makes a lot of sense, is we've got this bias towards things that we have recently seen.
Yes.
Right? And so when we look, and if you and I just had a conversation, I would say, what do you hope to achieve in retirement? Right? So many of us would just list off a variety of different things that we've just recently seen. I want to take this trip. It seems really cool to go to Paris. Someone just remodeled their kitchen. I think that would be fantastic. All of those things are there and they percolate to the top when we have that initial conversation. But the reality is, you need to really get down deep to say, when we talk about the final third of your life, life 3.0, what does that actually look like? It merits, it deserves a longer look.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so looking and saying, hey, here's this broader list of different types of financial goals. Here's this broader list of emotional goals. And as we know, emotion and finance and everything blends together into your financial health.
And how do we feel about those goals?
Correct.
Because back to that concept of math and emotion, if we look at planning just through the lens of math, we're missing such a huge piece.
So much.
When do you want to retire? Not just when the math says you should or shouldn't retire. What do you want that lifestyle to look like? Where are you at in this phase? Are we planning for retirement, or are we at retirement? We talk about the idea of someone's money mind. Are you more of what we call a protection money mind? Maybe you're fearful about finances and the emotions that come out during different phases of your life. All are through the lens of fear and protection. Are we more happiness oriented? Oh yeah, we can manage volatility. If anything, I don't want to miss out on things within the plan. Are you what we call a commitment money mind, or the giver? I worry about others more than myself, whether it's how I spend my time or how I use my resources. All of those need to be taken into account as we're building the financial plan, and then backing into what should the portfolio look like. The benchmark long term should be your financial plan, not just what the stock market is doing or the bond market is doing. And I know from our perspective, we want clients to understand that, number one, planning is never done. There is not an 80-page packet that says you're good to go or you're not. As all of you know, life changes, goals change, and that needs to be updated over time.
Absolutely.
And how that equates to what we experience in the portfolio, hence the discussion the last few weeks around volatility, is from our perspective, if the plan has been built and we know that the portfolio is sufficient to satisfy that plan, the worst thing we can ever do, especially in volatile or down markets, is sell, make emotional decisions. That is the way that the plan starts to crack. Otherwise, we can navigate through whatever the scenarios are that get thrown at us in life or in the markets to get to where we want to go.
Absolutely. And even to that point, Jake, I mean, the whole idea of basically saying planning is not static at all. Eisenhower has got this great quote that's attributed to him where he says, plans are useless, planning is everything.
Correct.
Right? Why? Because as soon as you say, this is the plan, then all of a sudden you're stuck and you're in a rut.
Yeah.
And as we know, life happens in between A and Z,
yes.
right? And so how do we navigate that? How do we approach that? And how do we look to make sure that different pockets of your portfolio are addressing our ability to be fleet of foot when things change?
So to summarize, whether it's navigating investment volatility in the markets, whether it's navigating changes in our financial lives, if we manage our emotions correctly, focus on fundamentals and math and the long-term plan that's in place, we know that outcomes will more than likely turn out okay. Thanks again for joining us this week, and I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend.